am Patricia Dalai. I am a dermatologist and also an FOP specialist. I live in São Paulo, Brazil. I was introduced to FOP as a young doctor. It was the year 2000. And there was a patient that nobody knew what she had, and she was misdiagnosed. She was 15 and she was losing her movements. I took the patient and I went in every clinic to ask doctors, have you seen this? And at the rheumatology department, they said, yes, I have seen that. This is FOP. And I said, okay, give me the medicine. And she said, there is no medicine. Are you joking? So I went back home and I opened my first laptop. I didn't know Google. I think there was no Google. It was another searcher. And I wrote fibrodysplasia ossificans progressiva. And the IFOPA appeared.
Back in the year 2000, just before the third FOP symposium in Philadelphia, I got a call from a doctor in Brazil, from dermatologist Patricia Dalai, and she said, I want to know more about FOP. I said, if you want to know more about FOP, we're going to have a symposium in a couple weeks. You can come to Philadelphia and you can learn about FOP because we're going to see 100 patients from all over the world.
In the year 2000, we as a family hosted a large garage sale in which we raised about $22,000. And we were raising that money for the IFOPA to host an international symposium. I got a check that came in from the garage sale a little bit late.
I called Amanda and I said, we have to raise the funds to bring this doctor from Brazil to Philadelphia.
And I said, that's great, because I just got this random check for $1,243.
When I arrived in Philadelphia at the hotel, I started seeing a lot of patients just like mine. And it was like, my God, she didn't know anyone like her. She's not alone.
She went from seeing one patient, knowing of one patient in Brazil, to all of a sudden seeing 20, 30 patients, and FOP in all of its various forms. And one day I found her up against a wall. She was leaning and she was crying, and crying very hard.
I was, just trying to understand what my mission would be.
I said, Dr. Dalai, are you okay? Are you okay? And I kid with her now, but she says, Amanda, I must become a better doctor. I must become a better doctor.
I want to be a better doctor. I understood on that moment that this life is not about me. It's about being here for the others.
I knew I was witnessing a champion in front of me, and she's been a champion for people in Brazil ever since.
At the end of the symposium, she said to me, Fred, I'm going to go back to Brazil and find everybody in Brazil who has FOP.
I will find every single patient in Brazil.
And 2 years later, she called. I found many, many families, almost 100 in Brazil, who have FOP. And she said, I want to have a symposium.
The first Latin American meeting.
Around that time, within several days, I got an interesting phone call from Dave Glazer. Dave was a student and then a resident who had worked with us in the lab for many, many years. He was down at the Campbell Clinic in Tennessee, and he was giving a lecture on FOP. And one of the doctors there said, I think when I was a resident in very rural Brazil, I saw a family who had this condition that you're talking about.
Days before this meeting, I get a message from Fred. Patricia, there is someone from Brazil that is here in the United States, and he said that there is a family in Brazil, a multi-generational family. Do you think you can find this family for the meeting? I said, leave it to me. Phone? Hello. I started searching. I called the hospital. I called the wrong doctor. The wrong doctor gave me the right doctor. And at the end of the day, I had the family on the phone. I called Fred and I said, okay, we are going to have this family.
There's nothing more exciting I could literally have heard.
When Amanda and I arrived, the family was there. The father and his children. Some had FOP, some did not have FOP.
We knew that was gold.
Carlos had this bright face, and he was there with his mother and his wife and his 3 children. And I, as a mother, was just taken aback. They're really a multi-generational family, just like the Smith family. They're real. Like, this is one closer.
That was like, someone heard my prayers.
I remember Dr. Kaplan just turning to me and saying, that is absolutely the biggest gift we've ever been given. And I think it's just an example of how so many different people can come together and have a part, and whether that's a small or a big part, or it doesn't matter. It took all of us at this particular time in the 300-year history of FOP. It just took all of us.